With Microsoft now acquiring Activision Blizzard for reals, we thought we would take a look at the good side. Mergers, acquisitions, and buyouts. It's all the same in the end, as long as it gives us better games. Id is no doubt one of the most important gaming companies of all time, ushering in the first-person shooter genre with games like Wolfenstein, Doom, and Quake, but after dominating the 90s, the 2000s were rather lackluster. So in 2009, ZeniMax Media, the parent company of Bethesda Softworks, acquired id amidst the turmoil. Rage was already in development, so that doesn't really count, but it's pretty much been massive hits since. Doom and Wolfenstein are textbook examples of how to reboot a franchise, and Doom Eternal is not too shabby of a sequel either. We're still waiting though for a Rescue Rover gritty reboot. Creative Assembly established themselves early on as a major developer in the strategy genre. Their Total War series, including Shogun, Medieval, and Realm, were all major successes. In the NoClip documentary about the company, however, we learn that all of this work took its toll on the founder, Tim Ansel. This led to the 2005 acquisition by Sega. Since then, there have been a few bumpy roads, but overall a game changer. Early titles like Total War Shogun 2, Medieval 2, Empire, and Napoleon were great early starts, and the more recent Total War Warhammer trilogy has set new heights for both the games and genre. In addition, throw in Alien Isolation and Halo Wars, and you've got almost 20 years of good games. Both Square and Enix were great companies in their own rights before their merger, Square with games like Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, and Enix's games like Dragon Quest, and a lucrative publishing and merchandising portfolio. So, after a few years of talking about it, in 2004 they decided to merge, becoming Square Enix. Since then, it hasn't been all smooth sailing financially, but we've got some great games. More Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games than I can put on the screen, Nier Automata, Just Cause, and Octopath Traveler, just to name a few. It's the mid-90s, Nintendo has Mario, Sega has Sonic, and newcomer PlayStation is looking for a mascot of their own. In comes Naughty Dog with Crash Bandicoot. While that wasn't originally part of the deal, that was Naughty Dog's original intent with creating the character. It helped that it would go on to be one of the best-selling titles for the PlayStation 1. A few sequels later, in the new Jak and Daxter franchise, and Sony finally bought them out. After the purchase, they would start two little-known series, Uncharted and The Last of Us. Namco would get its start as Nakamura Saisakusha and leased two wooden hand-cranked rocking horses to stores. After some success, they would add to their rides and become a major amusement ride company in Japan. After originally being a distributor for Atari Japan, they would buy them out and start to make their own games. Industry-defining games like Galaxian, Pac-Man, Galaga, Pole Position, and Dig Dug. Bandai got their start making toys in-house, and later, toys based on popular IPs like Astro Boy and Gundam. One of their first forays into video games was the creation of the Family Trainer, also called the Family Fun Fitness. After Nintendo bought this invention, it was rebranded as the Power Pad. Bandai was first set to be taken over by Sega, but later in that month, they announced the 9 billion yen loss, and with pressure from within the company, the deal was called off. In a reversal of events, in 2005, it would be Bandai that would acquire Namco. Since then, the new mega company would develop many much-loved games and franchises, including Dark Souls and sequels to Tekken, Soul Calibur, and Ace Combat. Starting from humble beginnings developing a Pong knockoff, Nop, Bungie has come a long way. Early games like Pathways into Darkness and Marathon set the groundwork for what would become their magnum opus. After a few conferences like E3, the Halo hype train was just getting started. Looking to give a competitive edge to their new console, the Xbox, Microsoft acquired Bungie. The rest is history. Halo was a generational hit, with sequels Halo 2 and 3, and then they left. In 2007, they would split from Microsoft, but still make Halo ODST and Reach. After this though, they would sign an exclusive deal with Activision and announce Destiny. A few years after this, they would eventually be bought by Sony in a bid to one-up Microsoft after they proposed the purchase of Activision Blizzard, and the catalyst for this list. Not everything EA does is the worst. In 1994, Tiburon Entertainment was formed, and would strike up a deal with EA to produce Madden NFL 96. This would be the beginning of the most dominant sports gaming franchise yet. Just 2 years later, in 98, EA would purchase Tiburon and the money would almost print itself. They didn't stop at Madden though. Throughout the next decades, they would control the sports gaming market with franchises like Madden, MMA, NCAA football, NASCAR, and NBA Live. They are still making games for most of these series today. In our opinion, this last one is the most important. For the first 37 years, AMD only made CPUs. Rivaling and beating Intel sometimes over the years though was not enough, and in 2006 they would acquire ATI, a graphics card company. For the first few years, GPUs still used the ATI Radeon name, but in 2010, and with the launch of the Radeon 6970, they would retire the name and simply be AMD Radeon. Since then, they have been the only real major competitor to Nvidia, only barely keeping their prices in check, and in recent years, having somewhat coming on top. Not to mention, AMD GPUs are used in the GameCube, Wii, and Wii U, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 4, 4 Pro, and 5, and the Steam Deck. We don't know if it's fair to say we would not be here graphically if this merger did not happen, but things would at least look somewhat different. Those are our 8 best gaming company acquisitions, mergers, or whatever. What do you think? What games still would have come out if this didn't happen? What games did we miss out on? Be sure to subscribe for our next list going over the 8 worst mergers. Have a good one.